It's going to be running twice a week. It'll probably last about an hour or two for each session, depending on the issues that we're trying to tackle. Then you're also going to be able to access me at any point to answer any questions that you have specific to what you're trying to develop. And I'm here to always offer backup support, follow-up support, and wraparound support so that we can get your whatever you're thinking, your business up and off the ground. My contact information, I'm going to be sending you all of my details via email because I have all of your information. So I'll be sending that to you at the end of this program. You'll also be getting an email with the actual text of the modules so that you'll be able to read the articles that I've accumulated and think that are pretty good and that support the program, and so you'll have all the information that you need to be able to do some homework between the classes if you have a chance to actually do that. So, of course, this is a slower program than what. The main point of this whole program is to make everyone feel comfortable with normal business concepts and actually how easy it is to start a business. It doesn't have to be something that's overwhelming or scary or something that creates so many barriers that you can't actually enter a market. And so the way that we're going to make sure that this happens and make sure that everybody feels comfortable with it is to actually move through all of the training modules together. You'll have homework to do, but then we're going to be talking about the homework and we'll work together. I'll share examples of after you've contacted me. If you're watching this in a recording, I'll be sharing examples and trying to get everybody on the same page so that then they can all be following the same journey together. It really helps when a lot of examples are given and when somebody's talking to you in English language, not with crazy terminology, and so I've tried really hard with the curriculum to make it as clear as possible so that I say things as many different ways as I can too, so that it's not too technical, so that we can all do it and we can all do it together, because I see it as something that we're all creating together, and I will help you as much as I possibly can to reach your goals, whatever they may be, in terms of starting your own self-employment venture, whether that's whatever form that takes. It can take whatever form it wants. The other thing that we're going to be doing is a life skills inspiration every class. We're going to start each class, not today because there's all sorts of information with this one, but every class we're going to start with a life skill inspiration. So that might be watching a TED Talk. That might actually be something that you get as homework, and we're going to talk about it and explore just some of the inspirational things that you can use when you're trying to apply all of this knowledge to your new startup. Or to whatever your goal is, even if that's just, going and trying to find a really great job. It's important to focus on yourself and to focus on where the motivation for that comes from, to keep your spirits high and to stay positive. And it's really good to focus on that kind of stuff. Another thing too, and I know I've said it, but I'm going to say it again, I will always be present and available for your specific questions, and so whenever you have a question at all, just let me know, and I'll be happy to answer it. At the end of this program, this is what I see for all of the participants and that we're working toward offering for you, is a thoroughly evaluated business idea. We're going to take your business ideas and teach you how to send that business idea down through a funnel to get to the specific idea that you can move forward with. You'll also create a one-page business plan, which is a really simple document and is all that's necessary these days to typically go and seek funding if that's something that you're interested in doing. And if you're not getting funding, then it will help you focus everything that you do to move forward with what you're planning on doing. You'll also be given all the info that's needed and the resources for a full business plan. If you do decide to go with a bank or something like that to seek funding from someone who's requiring more from you, you'll find that most banks actually have their own business plan software that you go through and have to fill out. So it's always nice to have all that information in advance. so that when you do create, like when you actually do like log it up and decide that you're going to fill out the program, you've already got all of the boxes all filled out and it's all organized. And one of the main reasons to get all this done too is so that you feel confident moving forward, so that you know where you're going, you can see the clear direction of where you're moving forward with your business, and you don't feel as awkward or unsure, or basically you just have the self-confidence to move forward because you know what's going on. If you are in the Muskoka area, you will have the opportunity to take part in our mentorship program. The reason that it's only in the Muskoka area is because we've been able to accumulate a wonderful group of fantastic mentors from our local business community who are more than willing to mentor our mentees, which is awesome. Really super successful ladies who will help guide you through the ups and downs, and you'll have that relationship for 6 months during the program duration. And then you also have the opportunity to apply for the Started Up micro grant to get your business off the ground. It's a grant that's up to $2,500, and you go through the micro grant process. You basically do a little elevator pitch to a committee, and if you pass all those little tests, you will then get your $2,500 in increments to put toward business registration and all the important things that you're going to have to pay for, perhaps some inventory, stuff like that, to get you up and going. So it's pretty cool. The limitations for the microgrant is that you do need to be between 18 and 29 for the microgrant. If you are not within that age range, we do have funds that are available, and we can discuss that on a one-to-one basis. Because the requirements are different, but they're still, we can also help you get funding elsewhere too, because we're pretty good at that. So in terms of an introduction, my name is Annie, Annie Scott. I've been working for the Y, like I said, for a while now, and I was given the opportunity to take on this program and develop curriculum that that would really, really help people. I have been self-employed for quite a while now with my own business, and I came about that in interesting and weird ways. We all have so many things that we do in our life sometimes. And I also have a business degree, a Bachelor of Commerce, and my focus was in entrepreneurship. So I've always had a thing for it, and I've grown up with family businesses all around me, and so it's something that I eat, sleep, and breathe. People always, make fun of me because when I see things, I see, a business opportunity instead of just the plain thing that I'm looking at. And so hopefully I'll be able to make what I'm feeling pretty infectious, and so I can help you and get your programming off the ground, or your business, or whatever you'd like to start. And there you can see right there what my favorite movie is. It's always nice to share it. And so since you guys aren't here right now, you need to email it to me, because I'm actually going to tell everybody what people's favorite movies are, just so that you guys can get to know each other, so that you're more than likely going to want to come and spend time together in this environment, which will be pretty cool. So let's just explore entrepreneurship a little bit. It's kind of interesting. A lot of people say, what's an entrepreneur? And there's many different definitions. Somebody who starts their own business, or, what do you think? There's a whole bunch of different options for what is an entrepreneur. And there's something else too. There's something called a freelancer. And so a freelancer is someone who gets paid for her work. She's someone who charges by the hour or for the project. Freelancing is the easiest way to start a new business, because basically anybody can start freelancing. Somebody who decides to walk the dogs on their street, that's a freelancer. And the difference between a freelancer and entrepreneur is pretty specific, and we'll get into that. But let's think of an example of the ultimate freelancer. And who I would argue is the ultimate freelancer is Miss Oprah. The reason that Oprah is a freelancer, and she's an entrepreneur too, she does so many things, but part of the reason that she's a freelancer is because if Oprah goes down, so too does most of her empire. Her empire is founded on Oprah. You can't have all of her shows without her sitting in it, the life skills and all those things that she does. And so if something were to happen to Oprah, or when Oprah gets really, she turns 150 or however much she gets to, that will probably be the demise of Harpo. Even though, we all want to think that it would go on, I don't really know if it would. A similar example is a registered massage therapist. Those hands belong to only one person. If the massage therapist opens her own clinic and starts charging other people within her space, then you could start talking about her as an entrepreneur. But, if she's a massage therapist, she has a client list of 100 clients, and it's all dependent on her hands. And if she gets strep throat and goes down, the whole business goes down. That is considered a freelancer. And for most of us, for a lot of women actually, freelancing is one of the most common ways that women get into business, because it's the easiest. You can have control most of the time over your own schedules, and you do what you want. And so freelancing is actually a really, really great way for a lot of women to get into the business. But what you need to understand is that you're only one human, and so if you go down, your business goes down. So it's a bit more dicey in terms of stability and, making money while you sleep. An entrepreneur, on the other hand, they use money, preferably somebody else's, to build a business that's bigger than themselves. So they do make money while they sleep. So, you put your head down on the pillow and people are still buying up whatever you're selling online, or, your team of service professionals are out serving the nation and, you're asleep in bed. It's bigger than them. And an entrepreneur tends to focus on the growth of the company. That's their main focus. They have the vision of expanding and expanding. Also scaling is just making your business bigger. The systems that they need to have in place to build it. So if you look at, companies that are getting bigger, they have to make sure that everybody's doing things the same way, and then the moment that people are doing the same way, that you can actually expand it and have 5 units that are doing things the same way. And people there's a whole bunch of different examples, and my favorite example is this lady, and I don't know if everybody knows who that is, but she's a pretty powerful lady in our land now, Miss Huffington, and she took something that was quite small, that was just her, and has developed into a worldwide international newspaper conglomerate, basically, and it's all online. And she did that single-handedly, starting out with basically nothing. And she did have stuff personally of her own, but the actual concept of Huffington Post was nothing. And it's really, really interesting. I don't know if you've done any reading or looked at Ariana at all, but her story is fantastic. There's a ton of TED Talks with her, telling her story and different things that she believes in. She even has her book, and it's just really, really interesting to think about how she looked at the world, and how she organized everything, and how she made sure that even her San Francisco office and her offices all over the place are quite small, tiny little family communities, which is really, really neat, and small offices doing big, huge work. And so she's able to scale the organization, but it's not something that she can't handle, and she's got her fingers in every pie. She's quite a fascinating lady. I highly suggest you look into her, but she's definitely, whereas Oprah is the woman, a lot of people don't even really know who Ariana is. They know what the Huffington Post is, and so if something ever happened to Ariana, that would be okay. They would get sold, probably to Google, because Google buys everything, and then we would go on from there, and she might have a bust of her in the lobby, but that's about it, because it will still go on without her. So in terms of how females define success, it's really, really interesting to look at how women define success in their businesses. And we're finding more and more research is showing that women want to make their businesses and personal lives and aspirations, all of that stuff, they want it to work in harmony. There are some women who aren't like this. This is just a generalization, like a research generalization, but they're finding that women are really, really concerned with the life-work balance, which they're calling a lifestyle business. And so a lot of women, instead of going and getting the traditional jobs, or filling roles like that, they're looking more at how they can make money around the kind of lifestyle that they want. just in order to have happiness and to be able to be with their families or not, or doing whatever they want to in their hobby time if they don't have families. And it's kind of shifting. It's a little bit different. Whereas before, well, a long time ago, women weren't even really working, but, when the general push where, in the 70s and 80s and even 90s, where women weren't really concerned with the mixing of their aspirations and their personal lives being involved. It wasn't as big of a thing, but now we're kind of moving into wanting it to be a lifestyle business as opposed to something that just takes over all, which is unique to females. Males don't have any, in research that they've done, they don't show any difference between, they're not concerned about personal lives or aspirations or anything like that. They just want to keep on working, and none of those things particularly matter. So it's good to take a while and maybe sit down and jot something down in a little notebook about what you think about success. What do you consider success personally? Is success having, a huge mansion and, servants and all that kind of stuff? Or is having success, being able to put your head down on your pillow at night knowing that you've helped somebody and done something amazing? You could totally be in a mansion and have that happen too, but it's a good idea to just make a little checklist and see how you define success, and that can change. Opinions of how to measure success change all of the time, and that's fine. But right now, especially because you're starting something and you're wanting to create something, it's important to know how you define success, because then that can guide what you're creating. You want to make sure that what you define as success is compatible with what you are creating, so that you don't create something that just doesn't actually work for you. And have you ever thought about how you define success? It's really, really interesting. There's some key business stats that I'll provide for you. They're in the module. You're going to have a bunch of reading to do. And if you look at the stats, women don't own a large portion of businesses in Canada. They just don't. They own like next to nothing when it comes right down to it. And those that do, the majority of businesses are accommodation or food services, which is really, really interesting. And if you actually sit back and think about it, it kind of makes sense. It's, slowly we can, take over the planet, but right now, those are the things that make a lot of sense, like, in the hotel industry, in catering, all of that kind of stuff. That's where most of the women are. And can anyone guess which industry has the least amount of females that own businesses? I bet you can. And up here in Muskoka, it's pretty significant that this is the case, but it's construction. It's kind of strange because women are really, moving forward and being able to absolutely do everything, but construction is still an industry that women just can't seem to bust into. Now, it could be just because somebody doesn't want to, but it's interesting when you look at stats like that to see where women are and where women aren't, and just kind of something to think about. So let's talk about the 10 Ds of entrepreneurs. This picture just shows a whole bunch of different Ds, like dentist, dock, dresses, disgusting diners will be disposed of. This is actually a book that Steve Martin wrote with his friend for kids, and it's very, very funny, and it's all about, it's the alphabet from A to Y with bonus letter Z. It's a pretty funny book, so if you ever get the chance to read it, I highly suggest it. But it's perfect for the 10 Ds of entrepreneurs, because entrepreneurs all share very, very similar characteristics, whether female or male, and it's good to look at them to see where you sit on the spectrum of entrepreneurship. So entrepreneurs dream. They dream big. It's really, really common for a diehard true entrepreneur to be constantly dreaming of different things. And you'll sometimes talk to people who are in their business. They've just started a business and they're going along, and then you say, well, how are things going? And they say, oh, everything's fine, but oh, I have this idea, and I'm thinking I'm going to do this, that, and this. It's like, okay, I just thought you started your business. How can you be thinking of something else? So dreaming is a very, very common thing for entrepreneurs. Another thing is decisiveness. they tend to know what they're doing. It's like, they are sure of themselves, they know what they're doing, and if they have an idea, it's something that can't easily be swayed. It can always be swayed, of course, by reasonable, rational stuff, but they are very decisive, and that's part of where the drive and the ability to do what they're doing comes from, because there's a certain confidence in decisiveness. They are doers. That doesn't mean if you don't want to get up off the couch and you feel lazy that you're not an entrepreneur, but that you actually, entrepreneurs do follow through with things and they just do it. The Nike term always reminds me of it, because it's like, okay, I could do this, that I'm just going to do it. And entrepreneurs just tend to, forge ahead and keep moving, and don't stop. And even if they're absolutely exhausted, you hear about people who work 24-hour days in their own business, and that really is what ends up happening. Determination, all of the above. You need that. You need, with decisiveness and doing, you need determination. You're determined to make it happen. It's something that you see for yourself, you're dreaming it, you're envisioning it, and you're determined to make it happen. Entrepreneurs are very determined. They are also dedicated. You have people who are super dedicated to their ideas, and without being dedicated to the idea, you're just going to flip flop and flee. Like, you're not going to want to have anything to do with it. So being dedicated is super, super important. And when you talk to an entrepreneur about their idea, man, sometimes it gives you goosebumps, because they're so dedicated to what they believe in. There's more little D's with the little guys. They're devoted. Same with the dedication. It's just the same kind of word, right? They're devoted to their idea. Doesn't mean that they can't change it and shift it around a little bit, but they're devoted to what they believe in, and they really think it's going to work. And that's super, super important, because they need to be their number one best cheerleader. And without that kind of devotion, you're not gonna keep on going. They are also pretty obsessed with the details. Some can be dreamers and visionaries and not care as much about the details, but there are certain details that they will not let go, because if they do, it won't be what their vision is, and the business won't be what they want it to be. They also believe it's their destiny. A lot of entrepreneurs see it as their destiny to have started this company, and if they don't start it, then they won't have fulfilled their destiny. They also are normally pretty good at either finding the dollars or basically coming up with the dollars on their own somehow, and have the ability and the guts to go and find those dollars, which can sometimes be kind of scary. And the other thing about entrepreneurs too is that they tend to be quite generous, and they'll distribute both the wealth of their companies and also to the responsibility. There aren't a lot of entrepreneurs that are, micromanagers and unwilling to allow other people to help them. There's some people like Steve Jobs who struggle with that kind of thing, but most people are more than willing to seek help, and they distribute the company responsibility and the wealth just because it is so important to them, and it's something that they do. So here's the question, though. What if you don't have any of the traits of an entrepreneur? What if you don't have a single one of those traits? Are you in trouble? Does that mean you can't be an entrepreneur? No, it doesn't mean that at all. What it means in some cases is that you might have to, work harder than other entrepreneurs at certain aspects, but nobody shares all of the traits. It's physically impossible. It's just not going to happen. Some people are going to be stronger in some things than others, and the smart people go and find those traits in other people and make them part of their cheerleading team to move forward with their business. Nobody can be absolutely perfect, the perfect entrepreneur, and so don't worry if you don't have those traits. There's so in terms of the assignments that you need to do until Wednesday, there's a reading in the module called Don't Try to Be What You're Not. And it's really, really funny. It's about a lot of people, the whole term fake it till you make it. That's really, really helpful when it's talking about confidence and moving forward and talking to people and saying, even if your business hasn't got off the ground, you say, hi, my name is Annie, and I own XY Widget Masters International, and, fake that till you make it, and, you believe in yourself and you move forward. But the article is about, uh, basically a guy who did nothing that you were supposed to, like, contemplate your navel and get inspirational quotes and, be super nice to people and network and all these things that they say and will be talking about that you can use to pad your environment for business success. He hasn't done a lot of it, and he's still been successful. And his argument is that it's really, really important to not pretend that you are really, really good at accounting when you're not, because it doesn't help anybody, and all it does is come back and shoot you in the foot. Right? And so and there's a bunch of other examples that he uses, and it's just he's trying to say that you can be successful if you don't have the skills that everybody touts about. If you're watching TED Talks on perfect businesses and all this kind of stuff, and how to be an inspirational leader and all this kind of stuff, if you honestly don't have those skills, you don't have to try to be what you're not, because it's just not going to turn out well in the end for you, because it's just, if it's not going to work, it's not going to work. So you don't want to get caught up in the lie, because people know. It's like when you meet somebody and they're really, really self-conscious, and then if they were to say, and you can see that they're self-conscious, if they say, oh no, I'm a super, super, super confident person, you'd be like, what? No. But if they say, I really, really struggle with feeling confident, you'll be like, oh, okay, great, and you'll be more willing to help them out, and it leads to better things for you. So I want you to read Don't Try to Be What You're Not, because it's very entertaining. The other thing that I want you to do for homework is, in your module there is a self-SWOT, and I don't know if anybody knows what a SWOT is, but a SWOT is just a second. I just need to see this. A SWOT is an evaluation where you look at the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And you normally do that for a business situation. But in this case, we're going to be looking at it as a personal self-SWOT. And so there's a chart that's going to be in the module, and I want you to work on a self-SWOT for yourself. There's an example of one for a girl, and I want you to take it and be as honest as you can be and complete your own self-SWOT. It's really, really wild, because we don't really look at what our strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats are. We normally look at our strengths, and we're normally pretty darn good at looking at our weaknesses. We wake up in the morning, look at ourselves in the mirror, and I'm sure that you say a whole bunch of weaknesses, unless you're, super confident person, but most people say stuff to themselves in the mirror. The first thing, they'll look at themselves and they'll be like, oh my gosh, my eyes barely look alive, and blah, blah, blah. Like, we have a lot of weaknesses that we tend to just shout out. But it's really, really good to actually look at, what your strengths are, what your true weaknesses are, and what the opportunities are that you have in yourself to move ahead and get better at certain things. And then threats. For example, if you're really terrible at accounting or really terrible at math, that could be a threat to you. And so you know what you do? You look at that threats list and you find a way to fix it. And that doesn't mean going to school and getting an accounting degree. That means picking up the phone and calling people who know. If any of your friends have strong skills, it just gives you the ability to target what could be a threat to you moving forward in business and trying to fix that need. If you struggle with these lists, I would highly encourage you to ask somebody who knows you really well, because if they're kind of scared when you ask them those questions, because it's like, whoa, like, I don't know, I don't want to start, critiquing you and stuff like that. But it is really, really helpful to get somebody else's view of you, because we're always harder on ourselves than other people are. And so, leading to, like, just really highlighting the whole honesty part, it's a really good idea to get somebody else to help you with it. I also want you to read Article 8, which is 50 Reasons to Start Your Own Business. It's super, super fun. There's literally 50 reasons why you should start your own business, and read through them, and it kind of just solidifies the fact that that is something that you would be interested in and want to do, because the reasons are all pretty darn good. So please read that article. And then I want you to take a little bit of time on a piece of paper and write out the reasons that you would like to start your own business. Why would you like to? Do you want one of those 50 reasons or all 50 of the reasons? Like, is that something that you're really, really into? And if it is, detail out the reasons why. And if your reason isn't on that list, then write it down on your list, just so that you can get some focus. Once again, it's like creating your vision and your purpose and your goals. You want to create the reasons why you want to start your own business, just to make sure that you're doing it for the right reasons. A good reason to start a business normally isn't, oh, well, because my neighbor did it and I want to beat them. It could be if you're really, really competitive, and that's, that's something that you want, great. But it's normally something that comes from inside, and that's what will keep you motivated beyond the time when your neighbor closes down shop and isn't doing their business anymore. And then you're sitting there going, oh my gosh, why am I even doing this? It has nothing, I'm not interested in it at all. So yeah, you want to make sure that you're wanting to start your own self-employment venture or business for all the right reasons, if that makes sense. So please write that down, because I'm going to get you to share it with me. So we've hit the end. It's short today because I wanted to make sure that you were able to access the information, hear me, get everything going, and you can introduce yourself to me. So you'll be getting the module today. I'm going to have some questions on the email that I want you to send to me so that I can have some more information about you. I'd like you to read all of the information in the module for the next class and complete the exercises. I won't get you to send me the SWOT or anything like that. That's fine. But just be prepared before we launch into the next class so that you will have all that information right beside you when you're watching so that you can refer to it and move forward with the other stuff that you're going to be moving forward on to. And so I hope that you all have a wonderful day. I hope that you enjoy the reading, which will be pretty fun, and I hope to see you on Wednesday. So until then, have a great day. Bye.